Kai Taylor, Senior Reporter and Special Projects Manager here at Signal Media. With us today are Brian Jolly, Senior Vice President and Business Area Leader, DISA IT Business Area. And we have Bob Ripshoff, Chief Technology Officer at DISA IT Business Area. In today's rapidly evolving world, staying ahead of threats is key to mission success. Leidos brings together cutting-edge technology, deep expertise, and strong collaboration to support agile, efficient, and resilient defense operations. With Leidos' expertise, the DoD and its partners are able to protect critical assets and gain the strategic edge needed to succeed in the fight ahead. Brian, Bob, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We're gonna go straight into the questions if you guys are ready.
Yeah.
So innovation today revolves around more than just new tools. It requires collaboration at scale. How does Leidos bring together the right players to drive progress?
So, excellent question, Narai. At Leidos, we're really evolving into an orchestrator of innovation. That means bringing together diverse skill sets, innovative approaches, and as well as available technologies from our industry partners, from our government customers, and academia to make sure we have the right fit for the mission that we have to achieve for our customer. We really start that with the mission understanding that's really evolved over decades of us working, helping to, alongside of our DoD counterparts in accomplishing those mission critical objectives that are needed. And, while we believe innovation is definitely a team sport, we pride ourselves on really becoming the best player coach that's necessary for innovation at scale and with the necessary speed to meet today's challenges.
So, piggybacking off of what Brian just said a little bit, in Leidos, we're really making heavy investments right now in practices within 6 main areas. So we're doing things in cloud, network, cyber, information advantage, digital user experience, as well as application modernization. And what those practices are really doing are they're providing a orchestrator of innovation where they deliver repeatable offerings. So if you look across the Leidos portfolio, there's a lot of things that we're building for form, fit, and function for specific customer sets, and a lot of that can be reproduced across all those customers. So what we're doing is we're building repeatable offerings, producing a catalog of repeatable offerings so we can provide those same functions to them faster and quicker at a much better improved cost because it's repeatable.
So let's build on that a little bit. How is Leidos meeting the DoD's priorities supporting their mission?
So I'll take that first. We start by kind of working backwards from the warfighter. So if you think about, the questions that they need answered. So first of all, how can we act faster as a warfighter? How can we have the warfighter make better decisions and stay safe out on the battlefield and the battles that we're fighting every day? One of those things is our need to be a lot more agile as a business and technology provider. So we've been making great strides working with our customer in order to have different models for delivering innovation. So while everyone has been doing agile for many years now, what we're finding is the ability to shorten the time between requirement to solution is paramount. That has to be shorter than it's ever been in order to meet the challenges that our adversaries are putting upon us. So we've entered into a lot of conversations with our customers around outcome-based contracting or being able to provide capacity-based models where we're able to shorten that time between the traditional requirement coming in, because that requirement is very dynamic, and the solution delivery that typically would take months to provide. We're doing that in weeks in some cases in order to meet that speed of the requirement fulfillment.
Oh.
Yeah, I think about service delivery, I think about adoption of innovation to the warfighter. And part of what comes with that is prototyping fast and being able to deliver those capabilities, impactful capabilities that are innately and obviously impactful or valuable to the warfighter. So a saying comes back to me when I think about it is really that culture will eat strategy for breakfast. And if that delivered innovation isn't something that they've seen before and took 12 months to deliver before they even got to put their hands on it and provide feedback to, you failed. So you gotta You've got to release often, prototype fast at scale, agility, and velocity, and provide that value to the warfighter as quickly as possible.
All great, and I think very relevant to everything going on in the DoD environment at the moment. How is Leidos balancing the need for rapid digital innovation with cybersecurity imperatives? Obviously, we're seeing a lot coming out of the DoD right now, especially when it comes to future combat environments. And what are some of the challenges that you're seeing around the cyber landscape looking into the future?
Yeah, so I'll call them, within Leidos, I call them kind of like the lifeblood of Leidos. So we have a solution architect program, and this is where we grow our future chief engineers or future CTOs. And within that program, we teach from the very beginning cybersecurity. So you know from design all the way through operations, entire lifecycle management. We're integrating cybersecurity and security in general into all things that we do. So it's not an afterthought. And we come up with frameworks as well as design patterns that allow us to repeatedly do different deployments so that we can not sacrifice innovation for the purposes of security. We can keep the security, keep it safe, deliver to the warfighter quickly and fast. And then I'd say the challenges that I see in the space of cybersecurity is we can't people our way out of it anymore. It's moving too fast, it's moving too quickly, and the technologies that we're dealing with every day is becoming more and more challenging. The legacy, rules-based, signature-based prevention systems are no longer holding up against AI.
So, excellent answer, Bob. I would add to that, we're also concerned about protecting the entire ecosystem of our solution. So if you think about, Bob talked a lot about the technology and our specific Leidos personnel, but we also work with over 150 partner companies to deliver solutions. We also work with about 250 suppliers to deliver components and subcomponents of the material that we provide or solutions that we provide. So for us, it's about also securing that, and we do that through relentless focus on continuous training, making sure that we're comprehensive in our approach to our personnel, the personnel that comes to us from suppliers, and making sure that that supply chain is secure throughout. And that's really what's going to help us move with speed in the future, because it's not just about the piece that we're providing, but it's ensuring that the total solution is secure. And I'm really encouraged by some of the things that are coming out from DoD, such as SWIFT and reform around RMF, because that will help industry move faster to deliver solutions, but ensure those solutions are secure, so we're not sacrificing one for another.
Right. Brian, you spoke earlier on working backwards from the warfighter. Obviously, there's a lot of emerging technology coming out right now. There's a lot of talk of AI/ML. Everyone offers AI/ML. What emerging capabilities is Leidos prioritizing to enhance that warfighter connectivity, resilience, operational effectivity? And what makes Leidos different in your approach to these emerging technologies?
Excellent question. So I'll start first. I'll actually answer your second question first. So,
sure.
I think what makes us different is that we're doing applied AI. We're not doing AI for AI's sake. And, we don't concentrate on building LLMs. We select the right LLM for a particular problem set. And we really concentrate on making sure that is applied properly, effectively, and efficiently to whatever the issue is that we're trying to solve, whether that is an existing issue or one that we're forecasting in the future from a proactive standpoint. And, we just don't develop the technology, we also have to operate it. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what makes us different than maybe some think tanks or other industry partners, where when we deploy our technology into our customer's environment, it's not a greenfield. There's very seldom that we'll ever go into something that we can rip and replace an existing solution. Because of the scale of DoD and intelligence agencies, often we're dealing with systems of systems that have cutting edge technology, right, sometimes bleeding edge technology, all the way back to 30-year-old technology. And we have to make sure that that AI and ML solution that we apply brings all of that technology with it, right? We have to make sure that we improve that entire ecosystem. So we really are concentrating here on AI/ML, but AI/ML for a mission purpose and making sure that we're not leaving things behind because they may not fit into a box of a recent technology.
Right.
Yeah, as I look to the future and I think about, what a digital operations center may look like and how Leidos is really charging forward towards data, the Leidos Dataverse, and AI/ML, and what that shape will look like in terms of the future of digital workers augmenting the existing workforce going forward. I think the two areas that we're really focused on across the corporation right now is really that Dataverse and AI/ML. But as we piggyback off what Brian kind of alluded to with the operations side where we operate it, we're really focused on, I think this is what separates us from the rest with Leidos, is we're really focused on how do we provide observability to those models? How can we explain how that model came to that answer? Or how can we detect bias or drift in a model? And then how do we know we have confidence in our data? Is it timely? Is it complete? Is it accurate? What was the time date? What's the data provenance? What's the lineage of the data? All those things come into play so that when you're doing decision support in an operation environment, you can make an accurate and trusted estimation of that the answer you got is the one you should do.
Right, for better decision making
Yep.
at a more rapid pace. Interoperability is one of my favorite words because we hear it quite a lot at all of our FCA conferences. It's a huge topic of discussion. How is Leidos ensuring future IT architectures will support interoperability and data sharing, as you were talking about data, across services and coalition partners?
So we're really working hard towards the Leidos Dataverse and the data products, being able to standardize and share across coalition, allies, partners, NATO members, Five Eyes countries, things like that. But that's one piece of looking at standards, open telemetry, schema 1, different standards along those lines, and then we're also looking at how do we secure it. So can it be interoperable? Can we share across multi-classification certain data products? But how do we share that and communicate with them in sort of a network fabric? So there's a heavy interest in microsegmentation and protection of those forces, as well as encryption. Big focus on encryption.
Great, Brian?
Absolutely. So just to reiterate what Bob was saying, I think the interoperability really comes into play around presidential directives like Golden Dome, like Advana, as we look at making C2 distributable across our different defense networks. Sharing that data is imperative, and sharing it in a fast manner that still maintains security is paramount to ensuring that those technologies that are given to us by industry, by academia, all help propel the warfighter forward as opposed to just creating another silo.
Right. Can you guys please share an example where Leidos anticipated a customer's need and delivered a solution that directly impacted their mission success and your mission success, right?
Absolutely. So, for us, that's the business that we're in, right? Trying to anticipate those needs and fulfill those solutions. I guess I'll go back to an example. So if you think about a lot of our business is protecting critical mission networks within the DoD and intelligence community. And as part of that, if you think about this system of systems, it's really protected by multi-layered security. And that security gets more complex every day with every added feature that's being put on those networks to protect them, which is all goodness, right? But if you think about being able to answer simple questions like, are we defended against a certain threat? That becomes much harder in a multi-layered type of environment.
Right.
So we actually developed a system along with our government customer that goes out and automatically crawls open source data and compiles it together in terms of the threats that are out there. It looks at and provides a snapshot of our digital footprint of all of those multi-layered security programs and procedures, and it also looks at the specific threat and from that, we're able to answer those questions much easier. So as opposed to spending a lot of time on research when a threat pops, we actually are able to spend a lot more of that time concentrating on the solution. So, we can ask that algorithm, are we defended against a certain threat? We get that answer, and now we're moving straight to solution. In the past, we would have to actually look at, let's research what this threat is, what is our defense posture, and that has really sped the time of need. So we talked earlier about the time between requirement and solution has to be shorter than ever.
Right.
That has gone to seconds versus days or hours that it was previously. And it allows us to use our horsepower to really focus on closing those gaps across the defense community.
Yeah, I'm reminded of a situation that we leaned forward on a few years back where there was a hurricane about to make landfall, and we were able to put together a plan in anticipation of the government needing help to alt route services, provide redundant services to move workloads before the hurricane made landfall. And we were successful in being able to do that in such that way no mission was dropped. The second example that comes to mind is, as a repeatable offering within Leidos, we're working on the ability to do predictive maintenance. So as Brian talked about, we do a lot of work across a lot of critical infrastructure. Some of it's legacy, some of it's newer, but every customer has the same problem. Things fail, they've got to be fixed. You've got to work that through your incident management process. And as you work through that process, there are indicators using data as informational advantage. You can use that data to help predict when those parts will fail. So what that does, the great thing about that is you can shorten your mean time to restore. You can, as a result of that, you improve your availability, and that all matters to your customer because that ultimately enhances the enterprise digital experience.
Absolutely. So we covered a lot of ground, from data sharing to open source data to predictive analysis. Brian even mentioned Golden Dome and other initiatives coming out of the DoD. So big question, what keeps you up at night? What's scaring you, but then what's also giving you hope for what the future environment will look like?
I'll jump in. There's a lot of disruptive technology going on in the world. You're starting to see some really emergent AI ML capabilities. And what's scaring me about that, or keeping me up at night, is with the advent of hyperscalers and really low cost computing, the ability to move from a Google to an Amazon to an Oracle cloud at the speed of light, the bandwidth, the high bandwidth that provides at low costs. Your nation state actors and your adversaries using open source AI tools. The attacks are coming faster and at greater scale and more sophistication, day to day to day. And our existing signature-based, rules-based prevention systems aren't adequate. They're easily bypassed by these technologies, and we just can't people our way out of that. So, what keeps me up at night ultimately is how do I use AI to train AI to fight against AI?
Brian, how about you?
So other than Bob now keeping me up at night from that answer, right? For me, speed worries me, right? But not just going, fast with high velocity, but having the right vector, right? So ensuring that, when we're heading in a direction, whether that be deploying a new technology, whether that's, modernizing a system, that we're going in the right direction. And I think that direction has to be informed by consistent communications with our industry partners and with our government customers. So I am encouraged, kind of the second part of that question about, what gives me encouragement, right, is, we are starting to have a lot more of those conversations of collaboration. And I hope that those continue because we talked earlier about data sharing. It goes, between our systems, but it also goes between our industry partners and goes with our government customers, sharing information with one another. If we remember back, over 20 years ago to 9/11, we realized that we have the right data, but it wasn't in the right place.
Right.
So that's the other thing that kind of scares me, right? Ensuring that we're breaking down those data silos. But again, I am encouraged by a lot of our recent collaboration opportunities that we've had with our government customers in order to make sure that we're breaking down some of those traditional silos and really heading out with the vector and thrust that we need.
I wanted to expand on that just a little bit. You talked about training AI to do AI, and then there was a lot of data sharing talk, but what does success really look like when innovation is done right?
Wow, that's a really good question. So when I think about innovation being delivered, I think about continuous delivery. I think about operations, security, and development teams working together, forming requirements, forming design, testing all together, and that an innovation gets delivered in time to beat your adversary to the warfighter. And the warfighter should, when receiving that, when that transitions into the warfighter's hands for use, it should be self-evident to its value, and it shouldn't be the first time they're seeing it. Mm-hmm. That orchestration function, earlier you heard me say orchestration of innovation, that is what orchestration of innovation is.
Brian?
So I'll look at this from a slightly different perspective. For me, we've talked a lot about innovation, but in order to enable that innovation, a future-ready workforce is just as important as future-ready technology. And at Leidos, we're spending a lot of time being very deliberate around ensuring our workforce is trained, whether it's immersive training, AI, ML, upskilling, cyber ranges, as well as rotation of talent to ensure that our people are the right types of people that will grab that new technology and apply it securely, safely, and effectively to our programs. We do this also through effective and proactive program management principles. So we're investing not only in our folks, but also in the way that we do our business. So whether it's applying AI, ML to our internal processes, but also looking at, hey, how do we make sure that that person that's going to be in charge of making that decision, that critical decision, in many cases, is the best trained to do that for our customers. And another place where we see innovation success is within our new customer-centric state-of-the-art demonstration center, where we're bringing together those legacy networks, new technology, our people, as well as our industry partners, to ensure that we provide a complete demonstratable solution to our government customers. And that solution center will all be about applying AI, ML, applying zero trust compliance, and also applying all those different types of user digital experience solutions that Bob talked about earlier, ensuring that we have a complete comprehensive solution to the mission.
All right, I hate to upset you guys, but this is the final question. And the final question I always ask anyone I interview is, what have I not asked you that you wish I would have asked you?
So I'm not sure if there's anything you didn't ask us that we wish, but I do want to thank Signal for this opportunity, because I think it is very important as we press on your viewers and readers, the importance of industry and us making a connection to our government customers and advancing the entire mission, right? The DoD's entire mission, Intel Agency's entire mission through that partnership. So I'd like to thank you for this opportunity again, but also just the making sure that loud and clear we hear from Leidos that we're here to partner with our customers. We're here to apply all of the great technology you hear about in a meaningful way to make sure that we have a mission impact.
Absolutely.
I echo what Brian said. Thank you for the time. I would say, I would wrap up with, don't lose sight. It's easy to get lost in technology for technology's sake. Don't lose sight of the warfighter needs, the warfighter's environments, and the mission. That is the North Star to all of this.
Wonderful. Well, Bob, Brian, thank you so much. I think this has been a very productive conversation, and it sort of is very relevant to what you were talking about. It's partnership, and this is what we're doing here. So thank you everyone for joining today's executive video by Signal Media. We'll see you next time.